Good evening. Welcome to Sound Off. I'm Don Tessier. Linda's out tonight with her family. Joining me tonight is somebody that I think everybody knows. He's very popular in this part of the world, Jerry Morong. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I know there's been a lot on television this week out of Washington and Montpelier, and hopefully we can get some people to call in and sound off about what they feel is going on in Washington and Montpelier. Jerry has some things that he's going to go over, and I think some of the things that you're going to upset you a little bit, but you know, this is why we need to be active when it comes to the laws that these people in Montpelier are doing, and listen to the people who have to pay for all these things. Welcome, Jerry. Thanks for coming and helping us out tonight.
Well, you're very welcome. There's a couple of local issues that I would like to touch on if we can, Don, and one of those is when Act 46 was passed and we went into school consolidation, which I was in favor of at the time, but one of the things that they told us about Act 46 was that it was going to cut school costs. Well, it certainly hasn't done that. The last year, the school budget went up 2.56%. That's $15,837 per equalized pupil. This year, it's going up 4%, or over 16,000 per equalized pupil. Now, I don't see why we went to school consolidation if, as a cost-saving item, if our school budgets keep going up. Our student population is going down, as we know, yet the number of employees in each school seems to be going up. If you drive by the city school or the town school, the parking lot is solid full of cars, and the students didn't drive them there. So, you know, there are just a high number of employees in all the local schools, and I just don't understand what advantage we have by going to Act 46 and consolidating our schools, if that being the case.
And one of the bad things, the whole thing about it, all their testing is not coming up. Some of the things in math and reading and stuff is going down. So we have more. We're costing us more, and this, we were talking when we're off the air. My son lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was down there, and I was telling him I came back here, and I was figuring that down in Nashville, Tennessee, the average cost per student is around $9,000, and they have beautiful schools and things like that. But when I went to my grandchildren's school, you don't see a lot of teachers. Like, for example, the teacher per pupil is higher than it is here in Vermont. I don't know what the population is with students against teachers, but I would assume that it's around 25 in those lowest grades in Nashville. I don't know what a first or second grade here in Vermont is. If anybody out there knows, give us a call.
Well, the student population definitely is dropping, and you know, as the costs go up, we are concerned about the declining population in the state, and the big reason for that is the cost of living up here, and taxes keep going up, and along with the rest of the cost of living. Now they're talking putting a carbon tax in effect, and if it may not come out as a carbon tax through the legislature, but it's going to be possibly through the gas suppliers are going to tack it on, and it will go to the state. And Maine and New Hampshire are fighting that right now, and I'd hate to see it come about in Vermont. You know, especially I'm retired and I don't have to commute anywhere, but those people that have to commute to Burlington, to their places of employment and so forth, it's going to hurt. It really is. So
it's just another hidden tax. Well, the gasoline tax, I don't know what it's about 15. So if they're going to have to, I forget what's that carbon tax? Are they talking, what, 10 to 15 cents?
Well, there had been thrown about several figures. The highest that I've heard is 70 cents per gallon, but that's really the top of the.
That's 70 cents a gallon for carbon tax?
The carbon tax. That's the one.
The population of Vermont is going down. I would be willing to bet anybody any amount of money, if they put that type of a carbon tax in, close the last door because it's going to be vacant. People are going to be leaving here like you wouldn't believe. We already know that people are leaving on a regular basis here because the cost of living. I'd go on television, not television, but my computer, South Carolina, Tennessee, driver's licenses down there. You can get them for 10 years for $80. And here, it's very expensive. Like Jerry was saying, the cost of living here is just getting out of hand. And if you keep putting this stuff on there, more and more people of our age are going to go south.
Well, and there's another talk in the legislature. I haven't seen it confirmed yet, but earlier, before the legislative session began, there are two different legislators that want to propose a pay raise for the legislators. Those in the higher offices would get more, but generally across the board pay raise for our legislators. And I think it's a bad time to even think about proposing such a thing.
I'm with you 100% on that. And I hope somebody out there might agree with us, the fact that these people knew what they were getting into before they ran for the election. They know what the cost was, and now they want to get the bump up. Well, that doesn't sound fair. It's like Jerry and I going to work for the employer, and 15 days or 20 days later tell them we need more money. What do you think would happen? They would show us the door.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have a lot of job openings around the state, and the claim is they can't find people to fill those jobs. Well, I can understand it in the technical side of the issue, trying to find people to fill those jobs. But even some of the minimum wage jobs are being unfilled. And unfortunately, the farmers have to import workers from Mexico, which is a troublesome situation in some cases. But why should people go to work for minimum wage when they can sit at home and draw welfare and make more, almost twice as much as they would make on minimum wage? What's the incentive for those people to go to work? I don't have the exact figures, but I'm told that the high welfare payment is around $37,000 per year. That comes down to an hourly wage of $19.27 per hour, where the minimum wage right now in the state is $10.80 an hour. And
that's going up, as you well know.
Yeah, they're going to increase that minimum wage.
Yeah.
But why should someone that's drawing welfare with a fairly good income, plus food stamps, plus help with child care, the WICS program, and fuel assistance, and all these other benefits that are offered, why should they take a job? They can sit at home and draw more money for doing nothing. And I think it's a sad state of affairs when that is the case. But I really don't know what the answer is. A lot of the low-paying jobs people don't want to take. That's why the farmers have to bring the Mexicans in to work on the farms, because local people don't want those jobs. They don't work for them. So,
and apple time, they bring them in from Jamaica, all right? And they have to bring. Why can't Vermonters do this type of work? Why should we have people come in to Jamaica to pick apples? Like I said, when it's too good to get out of bed in the morning and you don't have to worry, then things need to be addressed.
Yeah, well, there was a case on television last year. A young lady was sitting on the street corner down in telephone call. Someone's calling in, Don?
Oh, hello, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Well, we're doing well right now. How are you doing?
Well, I'm sitting here in a nice warm house, and I decided to find out that what you guys were talking about. Of course, I always call in when I have a chance to talk about the issues. Jerry's right. The cost of education is going up, but Act 46 was supposed to control it, but it hasn't. The town budget is going to go up 3%, but if the grand list goes up, that 3% will probably go down to 1.5%. So the town is very frugal in reference to keeping their taxes under control. My biggest gripe is, this swimming pool that the city and town want to, get together on and spend $2.75 million to put up at Hardack, and they don't have a budget for it. What it's going to cost to run it. I asked the mayor at a joint meeting in reference to what it's going to, what it costs to repair the one they got, and there was nothing in writing. He said about $2 million. Well, I think if he got two proposals and came before the select board and the city council, he'd probably get us some support and repairing that one, because that one's been around 40 years, but like everything, you got to keep it up just like you keep your house up. But $2.75 million. A lot of the people that I've talked to are the elders, and they just can't afford that. We need a new town hall first, and the town hall. Jerry's been on the select board, and I've been on the select board. When we know it's about $2 to $3 million to repair the present old town hall. They're having problems down there with the electricity. In the summertime, they can't run air conditioners because the lights flicker, so the wiring is quite old. So I think, we got to put our priorities, one, on in reference to the town hall, which, we're going to have to do sooner or later. The town garage, if anybody's been by it, is finished. The salt shed will not be put up until next year. But they're going to have an open house sometime in February, and I hope all the taxpayers in the town of St. Albans will go to it and see what the local option tax has done for the town of St. Albans. That billing is paid 100% full, and it's a nice billing. The old one was full of mold. You couldn't wash your vehicles. You couldn't even take and use the drains in the billing because the drains would go into the lake. So that type of stuff is one of the reasons why the town voters voted to use the LOT tax, which is for this type of issue. Using $2.75 million for a swimming pool, I do not support. I think we need to not use the LOT money for a credit card to buy everything and anything that you want. Because the voters said this is to be used for infrastructure only.
Are they going to put that on the ballot for the homeowners to be able to vote on that? Because, that is too daggone much money. What's wrong with Lake Champlain in the summertime?
Well, we're going to put there is a swimming pool here in the city of St. Albans. The owner owns it, lives in St. Albans town. They pay over $6,000 in taxes. I got this information from our town clerk, and in the city, she told me also around $20,000 to $30,000 in property taxes there. So what happens if that swimming pool goes out of business? The city's going to lose a lot of money there. So I think we need to, not go against other businesses that, first of all, let's stop that. And let's just, fix the swimming pool the city's got. I think the town voters would help support fixing that one. But, spend $2.75 million, when we need a new town hall is not the way to go.
What bothers me about that is the cost to run it. Putting it up is easy. The cost of running it 7 days a week, all right? And that's going to run into a lot of money, so.
And to heat it also because, they have not got anything in writing stating what it's going to cost to run that. So basically, what we've been told, the meetings that I've gone to, is that, the city will just send us a bill. And I don't like open ends like that. the mayor and the city council members came and met with the select board and talked about swimming pools. So,
well, on the other side of the coin, I think a pool would probably get a lot of use. The pool, the existing pool, is well used right now. They have a good swim team in the recreation department, and the rec department does use the pool a lot. But we do have an Olympic-size heated pool in the city right now at Brandon's establishment, and I would rather see the city and the town recreation department work out a contract with Brandon's to use that pool, because that pool is underused. And I agree with Don. I'm concerned about the operating costs of that pool. If they put a dome over it, they're going to lose a lot of heat out of that, and it's going to cost a lot to heat that in the winter. Plus,
that's right,
chemicals and so forth. And another thing, the LOT tax is supposed to be used for infrastructure, and I think that's why we passed it. And I think right now I agree with you. The town hall is the main thing that we need to focus on at this point. So
that is correct.
Yeah, we need to set our priorities the way they should be. We're not a rich area. Yeah, our bills are paid. And we're in better shape than a lot of other towns and cities. But the idea is, we use our money very frugally, and we don't go out and use it for stuff that we actually don't need.
Well,
I hope
I heard I was told that there's a move in the works to put the LOT money in the general fund, and I think that's a terrible idea. I think the local option tax, that fund was established for a reason, and we should keep it separate from the general fund and not put it in there, because if you put it in the general fund, it's going to get spent. And
that's right. Sooner or later, that fire department house that we got on Lake Road, if they ever had an infrastructure guy go in and look at the beams and stuff like that, sooner or later we're going to have to do something with that building. Either do a lot of construction over there, or put it somewhere, like maybe over on the property that we own on the Brigham Road. So, but we got to put our priorities where they should be, and not in a swimming pool. When we got Brandon's, we got the Bay Park, and we got Cohen Park, and we also have Camp Kirker. So, we have a lot of areas, and I know there's about 228 kids a day that use the swimming pool during the summer months, but to heat it year round, that's going to cost a lot of money to run that the way they should. And without a proposed budget, you don't know what you're running into. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Well, thank you for calling in.
Bye.
Must be somebody else out there might have something they might like to get off their chest. The phone number is 802-528, was that 3315, Jerry?
5315.
I need my cheaters. I got my glasses, but I didn't put them on. That must be old age coming in. Old eyes. Yeah, but I'm just sitting here thinking, the cost of just insurance on that thing, liability insurance, is going to be horrendous. And then with all the other stuff, I just can't buy into that program. Like you said, what's wrong with putting a deal up there? We already got a pool, and work at the town and the city, get a contract with them, and everybody's happy.
Well, I would think. I know that the hospital contracts Brandon's the use of their pool, but I understand from talking with folks that work there that it is underused, and I'd like to see it have more use than what it is right now. So
yeah, they would probably love to get the town and the city in there, to help get some of their costs down.
Yeah,
and it's a win-win situation for them and the city and the town as well. And everybody should go away happy.
Yeah, I would think. But no, I don't know any other local issues that we have at this point.
Not that I know of, but like this caller said, the town's garage, and then they got more work to do there, and then the town's the office thing down there, there's plenty of money to be spent rather than that swimming pool.
Yeah, well, it will be on the ballot, so the voters will speak to it.
Yeah.
And if it passes, then that's fine. We'll live with it, but and hope for the best. But
the way to get around that is if we could figure out what the cost is and say if this is passed, the rate will go up by a certain percentage for taxes. You know,
yeah.
If tell them what it's good to vote for something that you're not going to be charged. But if they find out they're going to be charged, they might take a second look and say, maybe I don't want to spend that extra nickel or 10 cents a hundred. I mean, if we made a lot of money, like in the corporation stuff, it had thousands of dollars and millions of dollars. Yeah, I can see it, but it's everything we in the budget, as you well know, you were on the select board, is you set it up and you hope you did a good job because something can come and drive it up a little bit higher than you anticipated. What they call a rainy day fund.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And on the national stage, Don, I been looking into Social Security and what where we stand with Social Security. Now, the politicians will tell us that the Social Security fund is going to be going broke, and in that case, a lot of people, the retirees now that depend on Social Security, won't have that income. Well, that it's a sad thing. FDR established Social Security as a retirement fund for employed people when they got through working, and it under the Johnson administration, they wanted to get more money for Johnson's Great Society, so they borrowed the money from the Social Security fund. Well, borrow is a funny word because it's never been paid back,
right?
And it won't be. And Congress wants to classify Social Security as an entitlement program or a federal benefit program. But it's our money that we and our employer paid into for all of our working years, and it totaled 15% before taxes. That's 7.5% that I put in and 7.5% that you put in. And if you averaged $30,000 a year in salary over your working life, that is close to $180,000 that you invested in Social Security. Now, if you calculate the future value of your monthly investment around $375 per month at a meager interest rate of 1% compounded monthly, after 40 years of working, you would have over $1.3 million earned. This is your personal investment. Now, upon retirement, if you took out only 3% per year, you would receive $39,318 per year, or $3,277 per month. That's almost 3 times what today's Social Security benefit is. Right now, it averages $1,230 per month, and that's according to the Social Security Administration. That being the case, your Social Security retirement benefit fund would last more than 33 years. That is, if you retired at 65 and lived until 98 years old. Now, if you die before you reach 65, you still paid 15% into that fund, and that just goes into the pot. There might be some Social Security benefits for your widow, but it's very small compared to what the actual payment is. So, that's something that we should remind our legislators of, that the mishandling of that Social Security fund is what's put it into the possible jeopardy situation that it's in right now.
You're saying that I'm sitting here and I'm burning up. We've got people running for president who want to have free college and free medical, and here they are taking away benefits for people who are worked in Social Security. Bernie Sanders should go to jail for that kind of talk. I mean, what's wrong with this picture? We work, and they want to give it away to other people. What we should do is start cutting the salaries for these people in Congress, both the House and the Senate, and see how they like it is, right? Because they're taking it away from people who work hard. Their pension plan that the government puts out, I don't think they contribute anything to it. Do you know, Jerry?
I don't know.
I never heard of them contributing any money to it. It's almost like a service one in the military, where if you're there for 20 years, you get a certain percentage of your monthly salary as a retirement.
Well, I pulled something off the internet that's kind of interesting as far as the members of Congress. Congressmen, if they serve only 1 year, they retire with their full monthly paycheck that they're getting while they're in Congress for the rest of their lives. I'm not a big Trump fan, I'll have to say. I have to say that I personally don't care for the guy. He's crude, and he's very egotistical. But some of the things he proposes are actually pretty good ideas.
Well, he doesn't take a salary, so the rest of those guys in Congress should follow his act. I'm with you on that. At least that's one good thing he does. He doesn't take a salary. Trump's
Congressional Reform Act of 2018 it never has gone anywhere, but it says, number one, no tenure, no pension. A congressman collects his salary while in office and receives no pay when they're out of office. No more perks go with them. Congressmen or congresswomen, past, present, and future, participate in Social Security. All funds in the Congressional Retirement Fund move to the Social Security system immediately. All future funds flow into the Social Security system, and Congress participates with the American people. It may not be used for other purposes. Congress must purchase their own retirement plan, just as all Americans do. Congress will no longer vote themselves pay increases. Congressional pay will rise by the lower gross national product, or 3%. And Congress' current health care system is terminated, and they participate in the same health care system as the American people. Congress must abide by the laws that they impose on the American people. And all contacts with past and present congressmen and women are void. American people did not make these contracts with congressmen and congresswomen, and Congress made all these contracts for themselves. Serving in Congress is an honor, not a career. The Founding Fathers envisioned citizen legislators serving their terms and then going home and back to work, not get all kinds of freebies. And Congress is fighting that Congressional Reform Act tooth and nail. They right now, you take Bernie. He went into Congress with not a lot of wealth. Now he's a millionaire, and how do they get that way on their salary? I mean, it's a decent salary, but it's not enough to make them a millionaire. So
plus, in addition to that salary, remember they got a budget. They don't pay for their airfare back and forth from Washington to Burlington. That comes out of their budget. So whatever they make, you're right. They are founding fathers, and they've been talking a lot in Washington about the founding fathers this week over things. They should start doing what they did, like you said. They served and went back home and went to work and didn't go on the dole. They got it made big time. I mean, Bernie, like you said, he's got a $600,000 home over in South Hero.
Oh, yeah,
right on the lake.
Yeah. Well, Emerson had his editorial in the Messenger, I think it was yesterday, kind of outlined what Bernie's big plans are as far as free college tuition, free health care, and all the other perks. And all of that runs into the not millions of dollars, trillions of dollars it's going to add to the budget. So as Margaret Thatcher once said, socialism is fine as long as someone pays the bills.
Yeah, you're right.
So the government has to support all those systems, and someone's got to come up with the money to pay for it. And who will that be? It'll be the taxpayer.
Yeah.
And we can't afford to have the deficit go any higher than what it is currently. And that would certainly crunch that deficit right up to the real high limits. So got to.
And there's a few of those candidates want to say to me, I have a $50,000 bill from college. They want to pay it for me. What's wrong with this picture again? Like you said, it's always easy to spend other people's money. And I can't figure out where it's all going to come from. And the voters really need to start paying attention to what these people are saying. Because when you start talking them giving this stuff away, you know, like you said, when you do your W-2 forms, when you at 15th of April, you got to get your money in and see how much money you have to send to Washington or Montpelier. That should wake you up real quick.
Yeah, well, it's one thing that bothers me is we talk about these things, but people don't come out and vote. If you don't vote, you don't really have a reason to complain, or you might have a reason to complain, but you don't have the right to complain. We're lucky in the town of St. Albans if we get 1/3 of the town voters out to vote. Even in presidential elections, if we get over 1/3 of the voters that come out and cast their ballot, we think we're doing very well. And I don't really understand that. In some of these backward countries, people line up for hours and hours for the chance to vote, and there's a lot of time taking their life in their hands to vote, but they're there and they cherish that right. Well, we have that right here, and all you got to do is look at what the candidates stand for and do your best to analyze what they would do for you and what they would do for the country, and cast your vote. Even in the town, there's select board positions and other elected positions in the town. Look at your candidates and get to know them, and come out and cast your ballot. That's what this society was founded on. So it would make us all feel real great in the town if when we open the ballots, if they're lined up clear out the door and waiting for a chance to get in there to cast their ballot. But as I say, we're lucky to get a 1/3 of the registered voters there.
Yeah, look at the people in Russia, Venezuela, and all these countries, even the Middle East. Where there's kings and queens and all that stuff, they have nothing to say. They just, and I don't know what their tax rates are down there, but if they don't have any say when it comes to the government. And we are lucky that we can at least do that and vote people out that aren't doing the job that they should be doing. Mm. That's a good point, Jerry. I mean, just look around at the world and how lucky we are. And our founding fathers were smart enough to put this all together for us.
I talk to voters that don't, my own family, some of that don't vote, and I ask them why. They say, well, my vote doesn't count. Well, that's not true. A few years back, the select board race in the town was decided by one vote. That person didn't come out and vote, then there'd be a tie, and you'd have to do it all over again. And of course, that led to a recount, but it turned out that he got elected by 3 votes, not just the one. But that's how close it was, and your vote does count. And if you don't take advantage of that and come out and cast your vote, then you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing your community a disservice. So.
I guess what we're going to have to do is we were talking about the school stuff. We're going to have to send people to these school board meetings to find out what's going on so we can get control of what's going, because as we all know, the cost of education is going up because the population is going down, but there's more people there. And a lot of that comes from Montpelier saying you've got to do this in order to do that. And so we need to get our people in the legislators, talk to them about some of these laws that they're passing in Montpelier that we have to abide by.
Well, a couple of the items on the legislative agenda right now is number one, to increase minimum wage, and they're going to take it up gradually, so much this year and so much the following year. Another item that they're considering is the waiting periods on purchasing a firearm, which really doesn't bother me when you come right down to it. I'm a gun owner and a hunter, but the waiting period, as far as I'm concerned, is not a big deal. It's just that it does take away not part of your rights, but it's getting closer to inflicting restrictions on your rights as a citizen.
That's the main things that most of the NRAs are talking. They say if they take this, then they're going to start taking more. And I agree with them on that, and I agree with you on this waiting period. But what they're concerned about is that we lose it here, and they go a little bit, then we lose it here, and all of a sudden, and I said in 1938, in Germany, Hitler took every gun away from every German person, and look what happened. So this is why NRA is a little nervous about them coming in. I do agree that we need gun laws, no doubt about it. Last time I was on this program with Linda, I pointed out how many killings and shootings were in Chicago. How do these people get that when they have like 2,000 to 3,000 shootings in a year in Chicago, in Baltimore, Los Angeles, New York City, and all those? And I don't know how to stop it. I guess Vermont, we're lucky. We don't have a lot of stuff, as far as gun issues, per se, shooting people. Look what out in Texas, where that guy went into that church, in that synagogue that went in Philadelphia, guy went with a gun. And I mean, we're lucky that it hasn't hit here yet, and thank God it hasn't.
Well, I'm not an NRA member, and I don't agree with the NRA's philosophy on many things. And they, I argued, I've got a call from NRA about joining, and I told them I was no part of their organization, and I don't really understand why an individual citizen needs a Browning automatic rifle or Uzi or some of those types of weapons.
No, they don't.
Assault weapons.
I'm with you on that they don't need it.
But the NRA thinks we're restricting their rights if we don't allow them to buy that. And people, I guess, get a big kick out of going down to the gravel pit and putting a wrecked car down there and seeing how many holes they can put in it with a assault weapon. But I just, and of course, it's really a low caliber rifle. It's like a .222, but it's the thing is, it can really put a lot of shots out in a very quick order, especially if they get the big magazine for it. And I don't understand why anyone would have to buy that. And the guy from the NRA told me, well, he said, I'm not a deer hunter, but if I was, that would be my weapon of choice. Well, my goodness, what's he want to do? Kill a deer and butcher it right there on the scene? It's, that's not a weapon to go deer hunting with, that's for sure.
I'm with you on that. I have a 300 Savage. It's not going to hurt anything if you don't hit that deer just right, he's going to keep going.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on it. But I think, as I always said, the reason why nobody's ever going to bother us is we got over 330 million people, and a lot of people have weapons. And this is back in 1700s, when the Brits came over here, they wanted to take guns away, but every farmhouse had a gun. That's why we kind of beat them. So, but you're right. I think it's gotten out of hand. I mean, I'm in favor of weapons, but those kind of weapons, I don't think, I'm with you. You don't need those kind of weapons.
No, it's a person's right to own a firearm is guaranteed by the Second Amendment, and I'd hate to see us go against that proposition. But when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, the Admiral Moto said he's afraid that they're awakening a sleeping giant.
And he did wake up a sleeping giant.
He did. And they figured that they don't want to attack this country because there's more gun owners in the state of Wisconsin would constitute an army. So,
right.
Jefferson said that we arm ourselves not to protect ourselves from each other, but to protect ourselves from the government.
Right.
Well,
that's what happened back when the Brits come over here, because, like I said, every farmhouse had weapons, and not only the men shot, the women used guns back in those days, and that's why we beat them so badly.
Yeah.
So what else can we? Anybody got any questions about anything that we might be able to help you out with? We got a few more minutes left to go. I guess we could sing to them. Then they'd probably call and tell us to shut up.
They'd probably turn the TV off real quick if I sang for them. One of the things that the legislator is talking about, and we've talked about for years, is cleaning up Lake Champlain, and I hope we're able to do that and I'm hoping that we get federal assistance to do that, which is programmed, because everyone blames the farmers for the phosphorus in the lake, and the farmers are a big contributor, but they're trying to clean up their act. And I was the president of the St. Albans Area Watershed Association for several years, and we worked with the farmers, and they are really. We've got a call.
I got a call. Hi, caller. What would you like to talk about?
I'm looking to take up a collection for Bernie, so I figured you two guys would help out.
I'll give him a wooden nickel. How's that?
You guys, I enjoyed your show tonight. I think you're bringing up a lot of interesting stuff, and unless people get out and vote, nothing's ever going to change. It's just like 20% of the people in the United States go to church, but there's so many people that don't go to church. If they went to the church of their choice, all the churches in St. Albans would probably be full, and I think they need to have God in their heart because of the fact of what's going on in this world today. The second coming will come. We don't know when, but if we take and pray to God that this world straighten out, maybe it will. But if people don't go back to church, then they're lost. They don't know God, and then once you know God, you have peace of mind.
Well, statistics show that in 1900, 80% of the population attended church, and now it's less than 20% of the population that attend church. And the church used to be like the center of the town, the meeting place, and everyone went there. Now there's so many distractions with television and all this stuff that people just don't go anymore.
They say they're too busy.
Yeah, and I think most of the people believe in God and so forth, but they just don't bother to go to church. So.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I even got my kids in my family that don't go to church, and I told them, I said, you need to know God, before the time comes when you have a major sickness. I got a brother that his wife's got cancer, and she's not doing well. And, she had blood cancer and bone cancer, so, I asked for prayers in our church because, prayers together, will make things happen, with God's help. So I will let you guys go. I enjoy your show,
okay.
And next time you come on, please put on a toupee.
The light shine off our heads there.
Well, I just got a special haircut just for this show, so I'd look good. It must be they took too much off. Now, he's right. I mean, you should get involved in things, and your life would be a lot better.
Yeah. Well, back to the lake. I think as we all know, Lake Champlain is a huge economical resource for this area, and it's a vacation spot. It brings in a lot of people in the summer, and we've got to make big strides in cleaning it up. And there are various things that have been talked about as cleaning up the lake. Back when I was with the St. Albans Watershed Association, we had some folks come up from UVM that took core samples of the what's on the bottom of the bay, and there's a lot of stuff on there that is rich in chemicals and everything, and it just that causes the algae blooms, because when the water warms up, that stuff comes to the surface, and so the ultimate solution would be to dredge the bay, but that presents problems too. You've got to eliminate.
Do we have another call?
We have a caller.
What can we do tonight for you? Hello?
I think we lost our caller.
Okay.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
How are you, gentlemen?
Fine.
Great deal of wisdom sitting up there tonight, I noticed. I hope you can help me with my problem, Don and Jerry.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jim.
I've tried for a long time to figure out what the motive is and what the logic is. Can you please tell me why some of our folks visiting our country for an extended stay without having the authority to do so take it upon themselves to go to the city of Burlington and other sites and protest over some silly thing that the ACLU has coaxed them into doing, and then resisting and wondering why they're being arrested for being illegal? Has somebody got an answer for that?
Well, my thought is that they don't have anything better to do, so they take up a cause.
How can they be surprised they're being arrested?
That's right.
Yeah.
They're marching up and down Church Street. How dumb can they be?
Yeah. In certain countries, they'd go to jail or die.
They see the case last week or a week or two ago. The Chittenden County Sheriff got in trouble.
Yeah.
4 people inside the car, and nobody had a driver's license, and they're going 88 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And the ACLU stuck their nose in it and said they were being discriminated against.
Yeah.
Well, the ACLU likes to pick up a cause, and we're paying for the ACLU, and they always seem to be working against, the paying people. They always seem to have a cause that they're promoting, and
yeah, I know, but I mean, it doesn't make. There's no sense to me why these people would stick their nose out at the authorities and say, "Try to arrest me." What have we become? A third-rate country?
Well,
it seems like it's going that way.
It sure does. I wondered if you had some thing I wasn't thinking of that perhaps this is a good thing for those folks to be doing.
Well, one of the things they could certainly do is what we've mentioned before, is get out and cast their vote and look into what the people that are running for election are proposing and what they stand for, and get out and support them. And that's what democracy is all about.
That's exactly right. But my question is, why would they think it would be a good thing? Well, I suppose they're trying to stay low-key. They're here illegally. Maybe they're not trying to stay low-key, but I would be. And they march up and down Church Street protesting and drawing attention to themselves. What's the thinking? What's the logic?
Well, if they're illegal immigrants and they do that, they certainly are calling attention to themselves.
That's my point. What are they yelling about? They're being left alone pretty much, a lot more so than I would if I had my choice, but I don't.
Maybe they think going to jail is better than what they have.
Well, I don't know. They could well be.
Well, ironically, in this country, we can't get the local people to do manual labor, so they have to import those people to do it. And they're willing. They're good workers for the most part, and they do a good job.
They come legally. The American people, Jerry, the problem is, in this country, the American people, for the most part, don't have a clue what they cost us, the American taxpayer. Don't have a clue.
Yep.
Billions and billions of dollars a year added to the education expense of this country. Unbelievable. We have to teach a child how to speak English, and we should. I don't want to deprive these kids. They're not at fault. Well, but if American people had a clue of what they cost, they wouldn't wring their hands around and say, let them all in free.
Of course, this country is made up of immigrants, but most of the immigrants came into this country, they did it the right way. And
they came to Ellis Island.
Yeah, if these people
and they all found a job.
If they come in
and these guys could find a job, too.
Yeah, well, if they come in this country the right way and work and so forth, I have no problem with that. But
I don't either. And that's what they should be doing, and I would support that. The other scary thing is, I believe, is some of the quality of these people. We don't know who they are.
That's true.
We don't have a clue who's coming across that border. We don't have a clue the billions of dollars of drugs coming across our southern border. Not a clue. I don't have a clue, and I don't think anybody else does.
Well, I know that I know it's high. I don't know what the dollar amount is, but when they do talk, it's high. It's very high.
Somebody said the 87 or 88% of illegal drugs coming in this country come across the southern border.
Yeah.
And we think that's perfectly all right. We have a lot of people in this country that think that's fine.
Well, you see them protesting down at the borders, saying these guys are servants down there are bad guys for putting them in jail.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Border Patrol guys, ICE and all those guys, they're bad people, but they're not. They're just doing their job.
Bad people with members of Congress.
Right.
Well, let's face it.
You gentlemen up. You're doing a good job. Good to see you again, Jerry.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to be seen, right?
You should be seen. Same with you, Don. Have a good evening.
Yeah, same to you, Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well, let's face it, if there wasn't a demand for the drugs, they wouldn't be coming in. And that's one of our problems. We're going to have a bunch of drugged up zombies in this country before long because between the drugs they use and this vaping situation, it's crazy that people they know the dangers of doing that and they still do it.
I know it, and they're running it on TV. The fact that people are dying and they're still doing it. I mean, it's like me saying, Jerry, here's some poison, drink it. You know. I mean, that's exactly what's happening. How crazy can you be? Yeah. And there again, they get sick and stuff like this. They probably don't have any money to go to the hospital. The hospital has to take care of them, and all of a sudden, our rates go up and everything else. It's a thing that goes round and round. So people who aren't doing the right thing cost a lot of money to the taxpayers.
Well,
no doubt about
it. The amount of burglaries and break-ins in this country, at least in our part of the country, is fueled by drugs. They're getting the money to buy their drugs, and it's a sad situation. It really is, and legalizing marijuana was not the answer to it. That's for sure. And I have a cousin in Colorado that I've talked to about that situation out there, and she said that more young people are getting marijuana now because their buddies that are of age buy it for them, and then they claim that marijuana is not a gateway drug. Well, that's a line of bull too, because if they smoke marijuana and it makes them feel good, these people are going to say, hey, you like that? Try this. This is even better. And they'll before you know it, they're on to the harder drugs. So I just can't believe that they can claim that marijuana is not a gateway drug. Oh.
And this is why you need to get out and vote, because people in Montpelier are going along with this program and saying things aren't all that bad when they really are, because they're not really paying attention to all what's happening. In other parts of the United States, they think it's a good deal, and so they want to just test it out and see it how it comes here. And then all of a sudden we got a lot of accidents and things like this because people are all doped up.
Well, they had big aspirations about this marijuana bringing in a lot of money, and our lieutenant governor was really pushing that because he counted all the tax dollars that was going to bring in. Well, that hasn't happened because the way the marijuana has come about, you can use it you can grow it for your own use and things like that, but there's no tax money coming in from the legalization of marijuana.
And he wants to be governor of the state of Vermont. Can you imagine that?
Well,
I mean, can't we get better candidates out there than that? Some guy who thinks he can do something like that. That's not for the betterment of the United States and Vermonters.
No,
for sure.
I won't criticize him as Zuckerman on when I'm in a situation like this. But no, he was one of the pushers for that.
I know it.
No doubt about it. But,
can you imagine if he is at the helm? All right, what's going to happen?
Well,
hopefully people in the legislature will knock it down. But the way it's going, they're becoming a majority rather than a minority. Mm-hmm. So we need to get some good people out there to run for election to see if we can right the ship.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, well, that's kind of the bottom line. You got to get the right people doing the job down there, and I think we've got some pretty darn good legislators from Franklin County.
Yeah, we do.
I think we're doing real well with the people we've got down there, and they've been well thought and making good decisions for us and not going along with the status quo down there, and I really respect them for that. So
it's a tough battle for them, I tell you that, because they're in a minority.
Oh yes, yep. No, we. Before long, there are going to be more progressives in the legislature down there than there are Democrats and Republicans. A lot of the progressives call themselves Democrats, but they're really on the progressive ticket. So,
right.
And maybe we do need a third party in politics in this country to come to fore, because it seems like the Republicans and the Democrats are fighting each other, and one's not going to pass anything because the other one's in favor of it, and that's certainly not serving the people. So
yeah, if you watch television this week, you saw that in action in Washington.
That's for sure.
Fighting like cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost down there. We got 1 minute and 25 seconds left. So if anybody wants to call, we make the last one. But other than that, Jerry, I want to thank you for coming in. I know Linda enjoyed having us take it in so she could be with her family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm happy to do it. No.
You came prepared with some good information that people need to start paying attention of, because they keep saying, oh, it doesn't affect me. Well, guess what? It will affect you in time. Yep. It might not be right now, but it seems like it moves in the wrong direction rather than the good direction. Yep. And you will be accounted for sooner or later.
Well, I want to just as a parting shot say that town meeting day is coming up in the 1st of March. There's some important items on the ballot, and support your town by getting out, and support your state too by getting out and voting. That it's important. So.
Yeah, if you live in a town, it's at Collins Pearly, and it's plenty of parking, and you're in and out real quick, because Jerry and I both work the polls, so you're not going to be tied up for hours, and so make your vote count, and show up.
Well, thank you for having me, Don. I appreciate it.
Well, appreciate you coming.